Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Near Shores Prepping. I'm your host, Greg. Today I'd like to conclude my line of thought on the Civil War, ending with POWs, prisoners of war. So, in my other talks, Civil War has started through whatever means. The balkanization of America has started. Ohio is paired up with another conservative state. You are starting to impose your will against your opponents, constitutional versus unconstitutional. A democratic republic versus a socialist anarchist state. And during that process, conflict is escalated and people are having to leave their homes and become refugees here in the United States. The last thought on these process is there will be fighting, there will be casualties, and there will be people on both sides saying, I give up for whatever reason. If a person throws his weapon down, says, I'm out of bullets, I give up, what do you do? In other countries where civil war has been raging, a lot of times prisoners are not taken. They are executed on the spot or at a later date once they are interrogated for what knowledge they may have. We may also come across wounded that can no longer fight but are in medical distress. How do you deal with that? Do you even take prisoners? Do you even render first aid to the opposition? And the same may apply for you. If you say, damn it, I'm out of bullets and now, I'm at your mercy, the same rules may or may not apply to you. So let's investigate this a little bit more. If you say, I am going to take you prisoner and follow the guidelines of rules of war, and I've never been in the military, never been in a combat zone, never said I have or anything else like that. I am going by what I've read and what I've seen on TV and what others have told me. Somebody throws up their hands, you say, okay, you're my prisoner. Now keep in mind, I am talking about a fellow American citizen, not somebody from a foreign country here to cause problems. I am talking about someone you potentially have sat down at Buffalo Wild Wings and watched the game on TV while enjoying an adult beverage and having food. You both have agreed not to talk politics, but enjoy the sports and the company of one another. Now things have deteriorated where you both have chosen a side. So what do you do? Or it could be somebody you have no idea who it is that is wearing a black mask, black everything, has a red A on the circle of it and said, let's go for it. But what do you do? All right? You have to make the decision, pump them for what information they have, and then execute them. Pump them for what information they have, and zip tie them, and transport them back to an area that your side has designated prisoners of war. But you still have to have enough supplies to feed them. And oftentimes, when that happens, as during the first Civil War, neither side had enough food or willingness to share their food with the prisoners, and the conditions were so horrendous in those camps. Oftentimes, the prisoners died of exposure, a multitude of diseases, diphtheria, typhus, you name it, every waterborne disease, the flu, and exposure to the outdoors. plus starvation, and so on and so forth. So do you do that and say, okay, we don't have enough food to feed you, we don't have enough people to guard you, but you're in a camp surrounded by barbed wire walls and a few people to guard you, and yes, you will be forced to work the fields and whatever else we deem necessary, and if we have some food, you'll get to eat. If not, you're going to go hungry. We've seen our prisoners coming back from Vietnam, just shells of themselves, skeletons, virtually starved to death. If you say we're not taking prisoners, then you know the alternative. For the walking wounded, medical supplies would be short. So the choices are really very simple in that instance. You know, alive or not alive, prisoners or no prisoners. Do you let the other side know we're not taking prisoners? And if you choose to surrender, what are your expectations? Immediate death, starvation, brutal beatings, what? I do not advocate torture or beating someone like that. It's not in my nature to do that. It's either we comply with the ground rules, there's no gray area in this situation in mind. They're either prisoners or they're not prisoners. You render first aid or you move on. If someone says, I surrender, I don't want any more to do with this, I was forced into it, do you say, take it at your word and be on your way, and then regain it, receive them, refight against them in another situation? Do you take that chance? But that's a very real possibility in all the phases of a potential Civil War conflict and the balkanization of America. That's the third part of it. Now, I've lightly skipped over everything else. Medical care, hospitalization, all this other kind of stuff. But the three phases are, you know, you've decided to fight, you're imposing your will, and the potential to become a prisoner of war or take control over someone else. It's an astonishing, difficult topic to discuss in all three phases. It's a horrific idea. I don't know anybody that would be advocating for the Civil War, and I hope it never occurs. I honestly believe that this administration is pushing for further division of the United States, which we already are, and I already did another video for 2022 predictions, and I believe that it will escalate up to the elections and beyond, with Antifa and BLM being used to incite civil unrest. That's just my thoughts. If we fall into lawlessness, let me know what you think. The response on how do you handle law in an SHTF has been pretty one-sided. That's it for you, bud. You're gone. This is different. This is war. Do you treat them like a soldier or not? Let me know what you think. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your comments. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Please continue to do so. Continue to refer me. Help this channel grow, and I appreciate you. Get yourself right with God. Get baptized. That's a priority over everything else. Get yourself squared away spiritually. Greg out.